You are standing in a Texas pasture at dawn, watching a helicopter hover 50 feet above the grass. The gunner leans out. 3 seconds of fire. 14 hogs drop in a cloud of dust. Silence. The birds have stopped. Nothing moves but the rotor blades. You are thinking, the problem is solved. The land is quieter. The crops are safe. But then something happens that nobody predicted. I am Dr. Hendrik Bale. I have studied feral hog ecology for 20 years across Texas. I have watched culling operations from the ground, from aircraft, and now through thermal drone footage that shows what the naked eye cannot see. Here is what I need you to understand. When you kill a sounder of 30 hogs in one operation, you do not end the story there. You begin something far stranger. This chapter, I am going to show you exactly what the drones recorded in the 3 hours after that helicopter left. The footage reveals a hidden food web that nobody was watching for. Stay with me to the end, because the ecosystem's response to sudden death will change how you think about killing to save land. Those 14 hogs weighed roughly 900 kilograms total. Wasted, you might think. Within 90 minutes, the cleanup began. Aerial cleanup, the kind that moves fast. The camera is still rolling. Watch what arrives next. Within 90 minutes of that kill, the drones captured something that stopped me mid-playback. To understand what arrived next, you have to understand why Texas became a hog sump. 500 years ago, Hernando de Soto landed in Florida with pigs as mobile food. Those animals escaped. They bred, they adapted, and they never left. By the early 1900s, sport hunters were deliberately releasing Eurasian wild boar into the landscape. Domestic pigs gone feral crossed paths with wild boar genetics, and the hybrid that emerged was something else entirely. Today, Texas holds roughly 2.5 to 3 million feral hogs, nearly half of all feral hogs in America. That is the single largest concentration of an invasive swine population on the continent. Now, here is where it gets interesting, because those numbers did not happen by accident. A sow can breed at 6 months old and throw 2 litters every calendar year. I have measured litters of 12 piglets. 12. That means one breeding female can produce over 20 animals in a single year. No wolf packs, no mountain lions, nothing in Texas actually hunts an adult hog. Coyotes take piglets, but a sounder watches them. A sow will charge. So the population doubled, then tripled, then exploded across 3 decades like nothing Texas had ever seen. The hogs pushed north into the Panhandle, west into ranches where they were never found before. In the 90s and 2000s, drought pushed them everywhere, hunting for water and food they could not find elsewhere. They root pasture down to bare earth. They wreck irrigation lines. They destroy crops wholesale. Corn, rice, sorghum, wheat, soybeans, watermelons. $400 million a year in Texas damage alone. I have walked fields where the entire soil face is flipped and tossed like someone plowed it backward. They carry disease into cattle herds, brucellosis that moves from hog to livestock to humans without mercy. Even now, in suburban Austin and Dallas, sightings are common enough that people record them on their phones. And that is why the helicopter comes, why the gunner fires, why the extreme measures began. But here is what the aerial footage revealed that nobody anticipated. Those 14 dead hogs did not end the story in that pasture. They opened a door to something hidden. Within 90 minutes of the kill, the drones recorded something I have never stopped thinking about. The 14 hog carcasses lay scattered across a Texas pasture, 14 islands of biomass. Each animal weighed between 150 and 300 pounds, fresh protein on the ground. And within hours, the cleanup crew arrived in numbers that staggered the thermal readout. Turkey vultures spotted the kill first, their sense of smell dragging them across miles. They detect ethyl mercaptan, the gas early death produces, the way I smell coffee brewing. One vulture became 2, then 6, then 20, circling lower as the scent sharpened. Then the black vultures came, more aggressive, displacing the turkey vultures the moment they landed. We call a gathering of them a wake, and this one numbered 53 birds. But the vultures were only the opening act in what the drones showed me. Coyotes arrived at dusk, approaching from miles away. Smell carries a long distance to them. They moved deliberately, already reading the vulture congregation as a dinner bell overhead. By midnight, raccoons and opossums worked the edges, nocturnal scavengers exploiting the darkness and the feast. The carrion beetles arrived within hours. Necrophila americana, the American carrion beetle, tunneling into soft tissue. Blowflies detected the carcasses within minutes, and laid eggs in every body opening. Those larvae would generate heat as they fed. Dozens of thousands of maggots working simultaneously. Fire ants, invasive and relentless, colonized the carcasses by dawn, competing fiercely with native insects. What the drones revealed was not cleanup, it was a hidden food web erupting into view. A single culling operation had created what ecologists call a carrion pulse. Thousands of pounds of biomass concentrated on one pasture, restructuring the entire local scavenger community. Species arrived that rarely congregate, drawn by a resource too large to ignore. Camera traps would later catch mountain lions, skunks, even white-tailed deer investigating the site. The hogs were dead, but their bodies were feeding an entire invisible ecosystem. Now here is where the story turns unexpected, where the numbers stopped being about waste and became about balance. With the carcasses still steaming, now comes the part that reshapes everything downstream. The vultures have moved on. The coyotes have eaten their fill, but the ecosystem shift has only begun. Here is what I want you to hold. A culled hog is not a problem removed. It is a biomass gift that rewrites the neighborhood. In the weeks after that Texas kill, something unexpected happened across the pasture where the sounder fell. The bare soil the hogs had rooted down to suddenly faced no hooves, no snouts, no disturbance. Native grass seedlings I have seen suppressed for years began to push up through the bare patches. Within 6 weeks, I measured native bunchgrass recovering in 40% of the rooted zones I marked. But here is where I have to be honest with you about the complication. The invasive plants came too. King Ranch bluestem filled some patches faster than the natives. The answer is not that culling alone heals the land. It opens a window. What happens next depends on management. Now, the predators. Remember I told you the hidden food web emerged after that kill. The coyotes that scavenged hog carcasses had suddenly abundant nutrition. Their body condition scores spiked measurably. What I did not tell you then, those well-fed coyotes turned their attention to white-tailed deer. Predation pressure on deer fawns rose in the following season, a trade I did not anticipate when I first saw the vultures arrive. The riparian zones told a different story. Creek banks the hogs had destabilized began to stabilize within a single growing season. Bank vegetation grew back thick. Sediment load in the water dropped. Water clarity improved within 90 days. Native fish, largemouth bass, sunfish, recolonized sections they had abandoned when the water turned turbid and warm. And the acorn mast on the forest floor. Without competing hogs, white-tailed deer body condition scores climbed measurably by autumn. Turkey nest success rates improved because hogs could no longer predate the eggs. But here is the thing about feral hog populations, and this is the twist I promised you. They rebound. Sows breed at 6 months, 2 litters per year. A single pair can become 100 in 18 months. That Texas operation removed 350 hogs in one dawn. 2 years later, the region had recovered 80% of that biomass. The ecosystem did not finish healing. The predation cascade did not settle. The invasive plants are still competing. What I learned is that culling is not an ending. It is a reset button you have to press again and again. The land is not asking for one massacre. It is asking for sustained management, a conversation, not a conclusion. And here is the question I want from you. Where do you see invasive pressure in your own place, whether that is land or water or even your attention? What grows in the gap when something destructive is suddenly removed? I read every comment. Tell me what you notice. The ecosystem does not wait for permission to rebalance. Neither should we.